Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of HealingStars.com. This is the chart. It's the full moon, 13th of October, and it's 22:07 British summertime. I'm using whole signs as the houses, and in the UK, we have Cancer as that rising sign there. It's interesting because the North Node is right on that in the sign of Cancer. The South Node is always opposite. Here it is in Capricorn. And Saturn and Pluto are very important at this full moon. The reason being that the Sun and Moon are both at 20 degrees. And lo, here we have Pluto at 20 degrees. It's forming a T-square. It's called a T-square in astrology. And Pluto is the god of the underworld. It's all about buried power. And institutions have been going through huge, really massive upheavals ever since Pluto entered Capricorn, which it did way back in 2008. It stays until 2024, 16 years. It's a long journey and a slow journey. Pluto has been seen now, and the image is quite extraordinary because it looks as if there's a heart on Pluto. We are projecting that, of course, as humans onto it, but it's also a very important thing to notice. In the story of Pluto and Ceres and Persephone, Pluto falls in love with Persephone, the daughter of Ceres, otherwise called Demeter, and he seizes her, takes her into his realm, the underworld. And the thing that happens is Ceres leaves her temple. The crops dry up. Jupiter has to intercede because they need humans as gods, need humans to worship them. So Persephone is brought back to her mother. But because she's eaten the pomegranate while being in the underworld, she has to return. And it's this time of year, autumn, that she returns to be the queen of souls, the true wife of Pluto, otherwise called Hades. But that's an interesting little story. And the reason is that actually, at this full moon, we have the moon, here it is in Aries, the sun always opposite at a full moon in Libra. So those planets that are important, Aries is Mars, Venus is Libra. And at this present time, those two planets are in each other's signs. They can exchange energy. So Libra and Scorpio, Mars and Venus, lovers. Mars is not strong in Libra because it's governed by Venus, and Mars likes to do things and get things and take action. So Mars in Libra has to be diplomatic. It has to keep peace. Venus is not happy in Scorpio. It's passionate, it's deep, it's very much Persephone as Queen of Souls. Worth contemplating. The truth, always we look for Jupiter, is truth, and it's not in this chart, but it's right next to Ceres. There's Ceres again, the mother, the nurturer. And now it's called a dwarf planet, Ceres. We have Mercury. Mercury in Scorpio. Now on the 11th of October, Mercury entered what is known as the shadow period. You might have heard that Mercury is going retrograde at the end of the month, October 31st. And it's staying in Scorpio for a long journey right up until early December. So notice information that comes to you, especially secrets, anything buried. This is Pluto's realm. And Mercury in this chart is in a very good relationship to Neptune at the top here in Pisces, water signs. The ascendant and the North Node is also connected, and Mercury is also the messenger, of course. That's what it is. And Saturn is actually in a good relationship to Mercury. Now, when we have water and earth signs, they all get on. Water signs get on with earth signs. Fire signs get on with air signs. Jupiter, the truth, is in a very good relationship to the moon and the sun, both. And Jupiter is in its own sign, therefore strong. Any planet, when it's in its own sign, is called strong. Let's go back to the moon. Every year we're going to have a moon in Aries with a sun in Libra, and it's always about a new beginning, a fresh start. That's the nature of Aries. It's also important to recognize fear. There is a lot of fear, I would say, around at the moment, a lot of tension in the news. And fear is basically, we can, what's the word for it? It can be very distracting. Fear is very much the work of the ego. Fear of change is very much what the ego, the small self, says. It fears the future. It says it's going to be like the past. But we are creating our future. We are in the now, the here and now, where our minds go, what we focus on. There can be a negative fantasy. And I was reminded today about the concept of the mind. It's like a projector, a movie projector. And all we need to do is turn off the switch. We are projecting out. And if we're projecting out negative thoughts, funnily enough, negative things will start to happen to us. So use this Mercury energy with Neptune. That's very visionary. It's a very visionary aspect, that. Neptune's in its own sign. Neptune can be fantasy, but it also can be a very powerful healing quality because it's in that water sign that it so loves. Music is important. Watching a movie that lifts you up, really important, whatever you watch. A movie or you read a book. What is it you're focusing on at this time, at the full moon? One other important energy is Chiron. It's retrograde at the moment in Aries. And notice that Mars has finally passed by. It's still there, but it's when a planet moves past a connection with another planet, it's separating. So it's nowhere near as intense as when it's moving toward a planet. So that healing is important. And also, coming to Uranus, the planet of change, that little dotted green line to Mars, notice all virtually exactly the same degree, is called a letting go aspect. So this is what I'm encouraging you to do this time. First of all, let go of fear and replace it with Jupiter's energy, positive. Jupiter and the moon in that lovely trine is really, really good. It's a fire energy. And Jupiter loves fire. It's about looking up. Fire goes upwards, that's what it does. For the future, for the vision. You might like to write, if you haven't already, a new moon is the perfect time, but you can still look at the months, the last 2 weeks, and go, what direction are you going in? And you can change your mind. We can always change our minds. So the past does not have to repeat itself. And that sextile of Saturn and Mercury, I read that ideas that have been rejected or ignored can now be readily accepted. So once we connect with the sun and the moon, we connect with our energy of Mars and Venus, supporting each other, the masculine and the feminine. That brings unity. So on that note, I wish you a happy full moon. The next new moon, by the way, will be Diwali, that wonderful festival of light. Beautiful festival, and that will be on the 28th of October. Thank you for watching. Pam Carruthers of HealingStars.com.